Hi again then guys, and welcome to another installment of the Automotive News Roundup on the channel, and this is a brand which I actually don't talk about that often on the channel, NIO, who is probably familiar to some of you. They built a very remarkable debut of a car called the EP9, which is a pretty stunning looking electric hypercar, which of course shocked the world with its Nürburgring lap of 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So, pretty clearly a very fast car, and also the 5th fastest vehicle of any kind ever up the Goodwood hill climb, which is kind of a big deal and in a way almost even more impressive than the Nürburgring time. But the reason why I'm discussing NIO yet again in this video is because they have new vehicles, and NIO is not a company which I've really been following, to be honest, because I thought that they had that one hypercar. It was probably very low level production, which is true. As far as I know, they only actually built 10 of them, and they actually debuted with that car on the same day that the company opened its doors in 2014. However, in 2018, they began to have some financial troubles. They went into the public market at $1.8 billion on, I believe, the New York Stock Exchange it may have been, and they actually have more vehicles already in play, of which they've sold somewhere between 8 and 10,000 units, which is actually not bad, especially in comparison to only 10 of their supercar, but these are actually more conventional vehicles. At the same time, though, they are still very quick, because they are full electric cars. Now, they already had 2 of them in play, the ES6 and the ES8. Now, from what I can ascertain, it would appear that the middle letter in each car's name kind of pertains to what that vehicle's purpose is. So, for instance, the ES6 and the ES8 are both SUVs. The EP9, which is of course a hypercar, I'm guessing stands for performance, the P in EP9, and this, their fresh debut, is called the EC6, so similar to the SUV version of the ES6, but of course the C stands for crossover. Now, as far as these new ones go, in terms of what you can expect, in terms of value for money, power, performance, fuel range, or battery range, I should say, well, the larger ones, the SUVs, the ES6 and the ES8, are actually pretty impressive. The ES6 has around 540 horsepower, 0 to 60, if I recall, is under 5 seconds, and the fuel range is up around 350-400 miles. So pretty good, at least as good as a Tesla, for instance, except you have the advantage that it's a regular SUV, not some weird gull-wing-doored alternative to an SUV, and for those who aren't a fan of it, neither is it a crazy slab design truck. So it gives you a more conventional approach if you want a relatively funky but still somewhat normal looking car. The larger one, the ES8, has a pretty impressive spec sheet. You can buy it with 6 seats, you can buy it with 7, and in terms of performance and power, you're looking at 650 horses, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, so it's a damn fast SUV by anyone's standards, and even in terms of the pricing, the ES6, the smaller SUV, has a starting price of about £38,000 here in the UK, although you actually cannot buy them here in the UK yet. That's just the equivalent currency. And the larger one starts at about £48,000. That's for the 650 horsepower model range. So I would say that value-wise, at least bang for buck, is very impressive. And even the style, they're not just rip-offs of European cars, which is usually what China's kind of known for, let's be honest, at least in recent years, and I think they look cool. They kind of remind me of a little bit of Citroen design, a little bit of BMW design, and maybe even a hint of Lamborghini Urus in there as well, and those combinations aren't necessarily a bad thing. At the same time, I do like the fact that they have their own unique style. They very much do look like their own thing, and much like Tesla, they have a through line. Each of the cars look clearly like they're from the same company, and I like that. It's not like all these disparate vehicles that have no visual connection at all, that are just ripping off whatever the most successful thing in that particular market is. Now, they have other plans for the future, and their latest showing is this EC6 crossover, which I think looks even more like a Lamborghini Urus, primarily because of the shape, maybe with a little hint of Mercedes crossover in there. I believe it's the GLC, if I recall correctly. So in terms of whether or not you like them, of course that's down to you, but in terms of the part that these cars could play on the market, not just as electric cars, but just in general, I think they're a company to watch. The financial troubles included, they still have a ton of potential. They're not necessarily the best thing around yet, but they're certainly moving in the right direction. And if you consider in recent years, companies like Hyundai with the Genesis, or Kia even more recently with the amazing Stinger, who's to say that a company that was recently, or even in the past, considered to be not that impressive, can't come out with something that's fantastic, that revolutionizes their brand, and immediately increases everyone's perception and respect for them. So I wish NIO all the best. I hope that they become maybe the best known Chinese brand in the West in the future, and to me that would be really cool if we have a big, significant new player on the schedule. And how many companies like this actually begin with a supercar first? To me, that's kind of badass as well, to make the EP9 that's not just another electric supercar, but it actually put its money where its mouth was. They took it to Goodwood, they took it to the Nordschleife, they took it to various other tracks, and even did autonomous lap records with it as well, with no driver in the car. So yeah, they've proven, to me at least, that they deserve at least your consideration. And then moving into the future with all of these different vehicles that they have on offer beyond supercars, I think they're definitely one to watch, and I certainly will be. But overall, that's it for this news roundup. Of course, tell me your thoughts on NIO down below. Maybe if you are from somewhere in Asia and you've experienced one of these cars, I'd love to hear about that. So look down in the comments if you are a viewer and want to hear maybe a second opinion from somebody who has experienced it. And until next time, I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.